Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to another morning breakthrough with Coco, helping you undo so God can do. Let us be thankful for another day not promised, but indeed graciously granted. So, as you know, we are in a new series. We are in a 10-week series from the book Think Differently by James MacDonald. So, today is day two. So, yesterday, just to briefly recap, yesterday we talked about winning and losing in the mind, and basically I touched on how a lot of times we need to be careful and considerate of how sometimes people act a certain way, because not necessarily against us personally, but because of certain thoughts. So we talked about how in this particular book he talks about how we if we want to change, we have to a change of behavior, we have to change our thoughts. But again, for those that don't know, I'm a mindset coach, and what I've learned recently is, and what I've known for a while, is that it's not just our thought system, but it's also our belief system. So I will be taking us a little bit further, as far as it's not just what we think, but what beliefs do we have that have caused those types of thoughts. So a lot of times we view people and we see people and we notice things that other people don't notice about a person or about a situation because of our belief system. So this morning we are starting something new, and I'm just trying to share this out real quick. Okay, so this morning, day two, we are talking about battles beyond the physical. Battles beyond the physical. In other words, we see behavior, we see how a person acts, we see the what, so to speak, but we don't always necessarily know the why. So, one of the things that we that I would point out, or that I would read from what he wrote, is this: once you take away any problems around you that are physical or flesh problems, many of the rest will have to do with the way you think. So this morning we're going to talk about some battlefronts, things that we see from the outside, but again, what's really going on behind the scenes, so to speak. So it's not just what we see, but it also delves into the why. So one of those battlefronts is behavioral, and it asks the question, what is, so our behavior again comes from our thoughts, comes from something we believe. We act the way we think and the way we believe. So what is one behavior battle you know that you've been losing? So this book again was given to me 2 years ago. So I did write in it 2 years ago. So at that particular time, I wrote getting frustrated with coworkers. But what is a behavior battle that you're battling with? Maybe you find that you get frustrated with coworkers. Maybe you find that you get frustrated with the clients or the customers you serve. Maybe you find that, and especially during this season, because I've heard a lot of people say, who are serving people, how customers come in and don't want to adhere to the new policies as far as wearing a mask. So maybe that's something that frustrates you, and you find yourself kind of getting out of character. Um, what other Maybe you find that you have become verbal or physically abusive, or maybe you find yourself with dealing with addictive behavior, sex, alcohol, drugs, gambling, shopping. It could be anything. So again, what is one behavior battle? So a lot of this is also going to be some self-reflection, giving you information, but also allowing you to take time to assess yourself to see where you need to work on, or some things that you need to change, so to speak. So again, it's not just what we think, but the belief system behind that. So even with that being said, so what is one behavior battle you know you've been losing? So again, I responded getting frustrated with coworkers. So whatever your response is, take it a little bit further and ask yourself, okay, why are you getting frustrated with your coworkers or whatever the frustration is. Why does that frustrate you? And what is your behavior and why do you behave in such a way? So get honest with yourself. And again, because in order to, we know, because in one of the things too, in this particular, for this day, is we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. And we only change ourselves by changing our thoughts with changing our thoughts by changing our belief systems. So the next battlefront, relational. You may think that you should never admit when you're wrong or that you have to be perfect. Maybe you can't see how your behavior is hurting other people. So here is a question for your relationships, and that's work relationships, friend relationships, personal relationships, whatever the case may be. How are your current relationships affected by the way you think? How are your current relationships affected by the way you think? Maybe you find that you get along with one group of people, but not along with another group of people. So with the people you don't get along with, why? What is it that affects, what about your thinking pattern affects the way you treat people? So here's a transparent moment. This is not what I actually wrote down, but it just came to mind. You know the word chameleon, or being able to adapt to whatever situation. Well, I found that sometimes I would be one way at work and one way at church. And I had to learn all the time I should be the same way in both places. But it's like when I'm at work, I just get into work mode. I don't want to be bothered. I just want to do what I want to do. But at the same time, you have to remember who you are should reflect everywhere where you go, pretty much. But one of the things I wrote was people felt intimidated by me, thought that I was mean or distant. So why did that come across like that? Why did I come across like that? Because I didn't want people getting close to me. I had the mindset, and still kind of somewhat do, just I showed it a little bit different. But my mindset was I just wanted to go to work, do what I was assigned to do, and go home. I was not necessarily there to make friends or whatever the case may be. I just want to go to work, do what I'm paid to do, and be done. But a lot of times I did come across harsh. I did come across intimidating because of what I was thinking in my mind, not necessarily considering the other person's feelings, so to speak. So again, how are your current relationships affected by the way you think? So just be more careful or more observant of how you treat different people. Obviously, we can't treat everybody the same, but at the same time, are you treating them a certain way because of what you think or how they treat you? Another battlefront to consider, financial. So he writes, happiness is not tethered to what you have or do not have. Describe one financial issue that feels like a battle to you right now. So again, at this time, I just wrote being behind, feeling like I'm always broke. So whatever it is, what's a financial issue that you feel battles you right now? And ask yourself, so maybe you feel like you don't have enough. So again, in COVID-19, with all this going on, a lot of people have been laid off. A lot of people have lost their jobs. So a lot of people have, their hours have been cut, which is the case in my situation. So obviously that creates a financial burden. But again, just because the burden has to be created, how you think determines how you will react to the situation. You accept what is and, be thankful for what you have and continue to pray and have faith, or you find yourself in a position where you're constantly complaining, where you're getting discouraged, where you're feeling depressed, and that's where you have to think again. So consider your financial issue right now. What do you think about it? And then ask yourself why. Because when you ask yourself why, then it comes to I feel that I'm successful when I have this amount of money. Is that a truth or a fact, or is that opinion? So again, that just allows you to consider why you think the way you do. When you understand why you think the way you do, then that's where you can begin to change. That's not true, so why do I believe that? I can change that belief. I don't have to look at my situation. No, I don't have a lot of money, or no, I don't have the same amount of money coming in as I used to, but this is what I do have. How can I make the best of what I have now? The next battlefront he mentions is ideological, or this is like your filter through which you interpret reality. So when you describe your basic outlook on life, what 3 or 4 terms do you use? So in this moment where you are now, what are three or four terms that you would use to describe your outlook on life? Again, and it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing that we're going through this, but it is a eye-opening experience, so to speak, too, because a lot of times when things are going good, we don't think about how we will necessarily feel in the bad times. So now that things are not so good for a lot of people, how are you looking at it? What perspective or what lens are you looking at it? So when you describe your basic outlook on life, what 3 or 4 terms do you use? So again, at this particular time, I wrote experimental, rewarding, transformative, and revealing. So as you write those 3 or 4 terms, again, ask yourself, why do I feel this way about life right now? And the last point, moral. What has shaped your thinking about the central themes of life? And I wrote teaching of others, personal experiences, and the Bible. So again, this is a good place to reflect as well, as far as, a lot of our thinking or a lot of our beliefs are based on what other people have taught us. So what has shaped your thinking about the central themes of life, about survival, about love, about relationships, about surviving in the midst of a storm? What are some things that have shaped your thoughts? Consider those things that have shaped your thoughts, and consider if it's fact or opinion, or if it's a rational belief, or if it's something valid, so to speak. So those are my nuggets for today. I hope that helps somebody. Again, just going beyond the physical, we see the what? We see the behavior, but what's the reason behind the behavior? And this is not something just to consider for yourself, but a lot of us deal with different people, whether it's our clients, our customers, family members, or whatever the case may be. Also consider these things for when you're dealing with other people. And I believe that, again, when we learn how to adjust our thoughts and understand where those thoughts come from, and are willing to change our belief systems, we will be able to see other people in a different light. So thank you for tuning in to another Morning Breakthrough with Coco, helping you undo so God can do. Wishing you all an awesome Tuesday, and I will be back again on tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Love you. Be blessed.